Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel for another episode of World in Flames Collector's Edition, Days of Decision 3, Combined Game Playthrough number 2. We will be doing the March-April 1939 turn. Last turn we saw pretty much bad weather, pretty much shut down everything except in the north monsoon zone where the Japanese managed to get an attack in. But the one attack, even though it was a victorious assault, pretty much shut down the Japanese because all their units were flipped over. So the political phase has definitely heated up last turn. We probably will have a good political phase this turn as well, because there are still two major powers that have not geared up as of yet, that are eligible to gear up. So that being said, let's go take a look at starting money. Starting money looks something like this. We have Germany at -4, Japan at -1, Italy at -2, the Soviet Union at -5, the Commonwealth at -4, France at -3, the USA at 0, and China at -1. So we have the Americans having the most money, or rather, the only ones who aren't negative. So it's pretty it's pretty obvious that the major powers have been overspending. But that being said, after I took a look at it, I've determined that there are going to be three major powers bidding for political options this turn. They're all bidding one. We have the Soviets bidding one, the Germans bidding one, China bidding one, and the US bidding one. So let's take a look at how that's going to shake out on the initiative position track. I like to get both tracks in case we have ties. There we go. Alright, so we have the Soviet Union bidding one. They're going to get +3 bonus bid points for not getting a political option last turn. And they're also going to get +2 for their 5th place position from last turn. So that's a total of 6. That's going to put them in first. The Germans are bidding 1. They're going to get a +2 for their 4th place position. So that's 3. China's also bidding 1. China's going to get +1 for her 6th place position, and an additional 1 point for not getting a political option last turn. So that's a total of 3. The USA is bidding 1. They're going to get 1 for their 7th point. 1 point for their 7th place position from last turn. And they're going to get 1 bonus bid point. Their political effectiveness is a 2. However, the London Naval Treaty ratios cause them to have a -1 to that, because they are the second lowest naval treaty ratio major power. So they and the lowest get -1s, which is the Soviets. So that's going to give them a 3. So we have a 3-way tie. Well, the Germans are political effectiveness of 5. The Americans are a 2 -1, which is a 1, and China is a 1. So we have the Germans will break the first tie. They will be second. The Americans and Chinese are tied, and they're tied again on the political effectiveness track. So the tie is broken by the current order. So China will be 3rd. That's the highest position China's had, I think, all game. The Americans will be 4th. So the last card goes on the Soviets. The last card goes on the Americans. Now the remaining major powers who did not bid. We have Japan at a +4, so she'll be 5th. We have the Italians at +3 and the Commonwealth at +3. The Commonwealth's political effectiveness is 6, and the Italians is 3, so obviously the Commonwealth is going to win that one. And the Italians will come in 7th, and the French are at 0, so they will be 8th. Okay, so first up is the Soviets. Let's go see what they want to do. The Soviets want to play Russian option 9, the Nomanon-Han incident, which is the border skirmish in Mongolia, the Soviet Union, and Manchuria. So that's going to cost the Soviets 3 money. The prerequisite is the Soviets' initiative is less than Japan, which they're 1, so it is. There are some minor effects here, which I will put out. The U.S. entry is a +5. And what happens is that the effect of this is add Siberian infantry to the Soviet force pool. Initiate a border war with Japan, no reserve units, combined actions only, no PE increase, no PLM effects, no strategic bombing, no naval combat, no port strikes, and war automatically lapses after 1 turn. But no neutrality pact put in place. So the biggest effect of this is that it allows the Soviets to put their Siberian infantry into the force pool. So that's basically why they want to get this done. They might be able to kill a Japanese unit here or there, so that's a bonus for them. But yeah, so I'll put out the effects, the minor effects, and we'll come back and have the Soviets activate a minor. Okay, I've recorded the U.S. entry, which I think I will go over U.S. entry during the next turn and give everybody an update of where those levels are right now. I'm still quite sure that none of the levels have reached the point where the U.S. can actually do anything, but we'll go over and we'll check it out and see how close things are. But let's see, I think the Soviets are going to activate Iraq. They have a +2 in Iraq. They also have 2 points in Saudi Arabia, which is another option for them. But Iraq is actually closer to the Soviet Union, so I think they're going to activate Iraq. So grab the marker, go over to the status display. Going to be fairly simple. The Iraq marker is right here underneath the Greek one. So basically 2 points, 2 points per hex. It's going to move it closer to the Soviet Union. We're going to put it right there. Yeah, the Soviets are kind of happy with that. They're all right with that. All right, now we get to roll to see if the political phase ends. So it'll be anything except a 1. And after I killed some stacks, we roll a 5. So the political phase will continue. We'll move down to Germany. Let's go see what the Germans want to do. Germany has been on an alliance tear for the last 3 turns, and that's not stopping. They're going to use IPO number 3, minor alliance. They're going to, but unlike making an alliance, this time the Germans are going to try to break one. They're going to try to break the French alliance with Romania. So that's a little bit different than the usual alliance setup. Because we look at the options here. See, that was essential. Okay. The treaty chart and the U.S. entry are all the same as in making an alliance, except the marker, the French marker, will be removed from Romania if this is successful. So add 1 to the result for each factory resource marker we have in the minor. The Germans have 4, or 3 rather, so that's a +3. And we also will add the minor's willpower, which I think Romania's willpower is a 3. I'll look it up real quick. Their willpower is a 4. So that's +7. Subtract your initiative position. Germany's initiative position is 2, so that's +5. Subtract the distance in hexes on the status display. Romania is 3 hexes away, so that's going to be a +2. The minor is not hostile to Germany, and we're trying to break an alliance, so it's going to be a -3. So it's going to be a net -1 to the die, and we have to roll anything except a 0. See what we get. All right, we come up with a 9. A 9 definitely passes the muster. So the alliance with France will be broken. I will put the German markers out for the treat from the treaty booklet, and I will also record the U.S. entry and the cost, and I'll be right back with Germany activating a miner. Okay, it's Germany's turn to activate a miner. I bet you can't guess who they're going to activate. If you guessed Romania, you're right. They're going to activate Romania. This should be pretty interesting. I'll grab the markers. I'm going to -5 Soviet, a 1 British, a 1 French, and a +5 German. Now, there is no French alliance with Romania anymore to modify the movement of the Romanian marker. So let's put these out. We have the -5 Soviet. We have the 1 British. We have the 1 French. And we have the +5 German. Now, remember that it's always up to the major power moving the marker how they move it. Now, the Soviets are over this way. They have a -5 Soviet, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to here. So the Germans, we're going to activate the Soviet first. They have a -5. It's 2 for the hex, 1 to cross the boundary. That's 3. So it's going to cost 3 to go here. Remember, they have an alliance with Germany, and then it's going to be 2 for the next hex. Okay, they can't move further away from Germany without modifying the movement. Then the 1 British is not going to do anything. The 1 point for the French is not going to do anything. Then we have 5 German. Now it's 2 for the hex, 1 to cross the boundary. However, Romania is moving towards a major power that can control her, so there's going to be -1. So it's going to cost 2, and again, 2 for this hex. So Germany now has 2 miners stacked with her. Germany's very, very happy about that. Now we're going to see if we're going to end the turn and really, really, really piss off the Americans and the Chinese. They won't be happy about this at all. Grab the German die. Let's see what happens. Oh, a 5 keeps us going. We're moving on to China. Alright, I'll go grab the Chinese booklet and be right back. Okay, China is eligible to gear up this turn because the current year is greater than or equal to the year specified on the PM track for them. So that is exactly what they're going to do. The cost is a whopping 7, so it's very expensive for the Chinese, but they're hoping that America can basically start helping to foot the bill. But they will get more production out of this, and their production is pretty low right now, so they definitely need a boost. Let's see, so there's some minor effects here. The U.S. entry is a +7, so I will pay the money and put the minor effects out, and record the U.S. entry, and I'll come back with China activating a miner. Well, China really doesn't have any good options for activating anything. They don't have any enough positive in any one miner to actually do anything, so they're going to do something where they can potentially help their other democratic faction members, and they're going to activate the Netherlands. We'll grab the markers. And we'll head over to the status display. You can see the Netherlands is way, way down there by the tip of the Soviets. Let's see, I'll come in over here. It's actually closer that way, I think. Okay. So the -1 Chinese is not going to do anything. The -1 Soviet is not going to do anything. If I activate the Japanese one, it's going to push it here. Activate the French one, I'll put it here. And then the Japanese one, yeah. We're going to do the French one first. It's going to drag it 1 hex back towards France. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So I was counting because if it's more than 11 hexes away, negatives don't affect it. So the -2 Japanese will push it into this hex. Japan's over this way. Basically, it can't really go here, so I think that's probably the same distance. So it has to go here. It's going to cost 2 for the hex and 1 to cross a boundary, so that's 3. So the -2 does nothing. Okay, so I think that's it for the Chinese. Well, let's see them roll a die and see if they end the political phase. Now, let's see. 2 political options have been previously played, so there's a -2 to this die. This is not going to make America happy if this die comes out wrong. Oh, 7. Whew. Yeah, America's happy with that. Last card moves down to the U.S., and they will get to play a political option. Let's go check out what they're going to do. Okay, so for the U.S. turn, which I thought I recorded, but apparently I didn't, and it got lost, and I've already moved everything. They did their gear up. It's put them at -13 for money right now. They decided they were going to activate Ireland, which moved Ireland 2 hexes from the Baltic states to this hex right here. That was the net result. I've also rolled initiative, and the initiative came out something like that. That the Democrats and the Soviets have decided to go one after the other, and the only way they could do that, because the fascists beat the Democrats due to the die roll modifier down here. The fascists have a +2 and the Democrats have a -1. And the only way they could do that was have the Democrats go first, the Soviets go second, and then the fascists will be last. Now I'm at the point where we can start again. Okay, so now we're at the weather roll. Let's roll for weather and see what happens. Okay, we got a 2. And I don't think that's very good weather. 2, we have a +1 to the weather die roll. That's a 3. Well, it's not tremendously bad. We have rain in the Arctic, fair in North Temperate, fair in the Mediterranean, storm in North Monsoon, rain in South Monsoon, and fair in South Temperate. There's a +1 to the weather die roll for next turn, and the impulse marker will move up 1 space. Alright, let's go check out reinforcements. This is the March-April turn. So there's the March-April wedge. We're going to have some, excuse me, London Naval Treaty adjustments. Got an Italian ship. We have a battleship going into the construction pool. We have a British carrier going into the construction pool. I think that's it for ships. I believe there is a German sub going on board, but that doesn't affect the London Naval Treaty. We have a twin-engine bomber, Heinkel 111 P2, and that will probably go on the map. We'll reduce German pilots by 1. Definitely going on the map. We have a Japanese, pretty good Japanese fighter. I think they're probably going to put that on one of their carriers. So we will reduce their pilots by 1. We have 2 combat air groups for the Italians. And I think they're probably going to put one of them on that carrier they just got. The other one will go in the reserve pool. And they'll reduce their pilots down to 0. The Italians also get a sub. The French get a pilot. The Commonwealth gets a pilot. And the Japanese get a pilot. And they're going to use their pilot. I'll adjust those markers. So that's the one I just went down for Japan. We'll go back up 1. The French getting a pilot. And the Commonwealth gets a pilot. Okay, and we also have 2 Chinese an infantry army and a garrison division. The Chinese will be happy to get that. We have 2 Soviet units coming on, 2 infantry armies, kind of okay for the Soviets. We have the Shanghai Warlord for Japan, we have a militia for Japan, and we have 2 convoy points for the Commonwealth. Alright, I will get these on the board and then we will start with the Democrat Impulse. Okay, I placed the reinforcements and now we're back with the, I just want to show everybody, is that little partisan that cropped up from last turn. Okay, so the weather roll came out as rain in the Arctic, which is not going to affect anything over here in China, and fair in North Temperate and storm in the North Monsoon. So what that means for China is that the units down below this blue dotted line are not going to be moving, or they're going to instantly flip over. So the Chinese are basically just going to hold pat there. They put one of their reinforcements here, so that really strengthened that hex. It's now 7 points there. So they're very happy with that. They have the Chongqing militia behind it, and they also have these 2 units here, and this unit here, which can slide down if necessary. So they're kind of happy with the way they are. The communists are not going to move anything because the Russians are going to be using their impulses in Manchuria. The other Democrats, the British or the Commonwealth, moved a transport out of South Africa carrying the infantry corps that appeared there as a reinforcement a couple turns ago. They're headed for Egypt. And the French didn't do anything. They don't have anything to do really. And I think that's about it. The Americans are not doing anything, obviously. And the Chinese are good with the way they go. So we'll move on to the Communist Impulse. So for the Communists, they would like to kill something if they possibly could before this little brouhaha ends. So let's see. There's no naval, no port attacks, no naval anything, no strategic bombardment. We don't have any air power for ground strikes. I don't have any rail movement. So we're going to go right to land movement. Now, mountains on the Pacific cost 4 for leg units. So unfortunately, the headquarters is a lousy 2. But we can move the 4-4 here. They have 5 land actions. So that's 1. We're going to move him here. That's 2. We're going to move this guy here. That's 3. The motorized will be 4. I'll make sure the forest motorized is 5. Leg is 3. So they're good. And we got a potential attack here. There's 6 points. We have 7. Probably not. We have 10 to 6. Not good odds. Over here we have 5. We got 4. And 4 is 8 to 5. Again, not good odds. Oops, I forgot the artillery. I can put the artillery here. Still not exceeding the movement allowance. So that's 8, 12 to 6. We have a 2 to 1. 2 to 1. I really don't think the Soviets want to launch an attack with a 2 to 1. Two to 1 on the assault table. A 1 or 2 would be a total disaster, losing 2 units. 3, 4, lose 1. A 5 would kill it, but we lose 2. A 6, we lose 1, they'd lose 1. A 7, they'd lose 1. An 8, we'd lose 1, the Japanese would die. A 9 or 10, the Japanese would die. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 60% chance of killing a Japanese unit. 70% chance of losing at least 1 unit. I don't think that's a good attack. I think we're just gonna let it go the way it goes, and we're going to get our Siberian infantry into the force pool, and that's going to be cool. Okay, that's going to be it for the Soviets. Let's move the marker, and it'll be it. Okay, Japan doesn't have a whole lot to do. The one attack they thought they could get in is in the North Monsoon, and that's just not going to happen. They don't really want to attack any of the Soviet units. I mean, the Soviets basically aren't going to do much to them, so why bother to incur some losses if Japan doesn't have to? That being said, we're going to send, let's see, we're going to go down to naval movement. We're going to send a transport out from Japan with the Nagoya militia. He's going to go into the 2 box. And then we're going to go down to, we got to save 1 land move for debarked land units at sea. So we're going to do 1 land move. We're going to have 1 attack too right here. So we're going to do 1 land move. We're going to do this one here. That's 1. And we're going to move the Warlord up to Nanking. That's 2. And that will leave us the 3rd one to debark land units into Shanghai. The attack is going to be on the Partisan. Oh, we're at debark land units, so we'll do that now. He moves them to Shanghai. It costs 2 points to get there, so he's all set. Now we are invasions, paradrops, land combat. Okay, we have an attack right here. 0 points, doubled in the mountain is 0 points. 1 to 0 is billion to 1, and he's toast. The early partisans are all low strength units. They're either 1s or 0s. They don't start getting to be more of an irritant to the fascists until you get to 43 or so. Then they start really accumulating, and it can be bad for the fascists. Okay, that's it for Japan's turn. I'll roll weather, and we'll see what happens. All right, let's roll weather. It is the Democrats rolling weather. 10. I think that's going to be awesome weather. 10, we have a +1 from last turn. That is fair weather everywheres. And the impulse marker moves up 1. And there's no plus to next turn's weather die roll. So I think we're going to keep right on going. And we'll go right back to the Democrats and see what the Chinese want to do. All right. So the Commonwealth is not doing anything. The French, I think they might have a unit they want to move. Now we'll take a look at that after we finish the turn for the Chinese. I don't really think, maybe, I don't know. I'll have to take a look at it. All right. And so China, obviously land impulse. The big Chinese would like to get something here to help this hex out. But whatever they move there is going to get flipped over. But I think what they're going to do is they're going to move this 3-2 into that hex. It will flip him over, but that makes that a 6-point hex. Now is 12. And they will move this 4-3 into this hex, and that makes that an 8-point hex. So they're pretty happy with that, I would say. I think they're going to leave everything else pat. I think they're kind of happy with where everything is. Yeah, I think maybe they will move this guy back here. Just because the zones of control, if the Japanese get weird down here somewheres, then they can, the zones of control will help with the notional units for any potential invasions down on the south coast. Okay, so I think that's it for the Democrats. The communists are good. They're okay where they are. I don't really see them attacking. They just don't have enough to do anything, and they don't have enough in Europe to do anything. So they're going to move a few units in Europe. They move some units over to the Romanian border. Don't know what that's about. And I think that's it for them. Now we're back to the fascists. The Japanese are going to take their combined as usual. However, I think I got to take a look at this. Be back in a second. Okay, so Japan will be taking a combined impulse and paying oil as they go if they need to. I don't really think they're going to have to. Japan is also coming up on the 2-year anniversary of the Peking Bridge incident. I think that's either next turn or the turn after. I'm not sure exactly. I have to go and look it up. But once that occurs, then Japan's no longer shackled by combined impulses all the time, and they can take full land, naval, whatever they want. But at this point, it's still combined. So I'm going to do the land movement, and I'll come back and see if they have an actual attack to do. I gotta check everything out, calculate the odds, all that kind of stuff. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so the Japanese have decided that they're not going to do anything. And they move some units around. They basically got to get themselves set up for next turn. The communists also not going to do anything. They're just going to get themselves set up for their next goal that they want to achieve, I guess. They know that they'll get the Siberians into the force pool after this turn, so they're kind of happy with that. I think I'm just going to go through the rest of the impulse. I don't really see anything happening on the maps. And probably come back with production. All right. Back in a second. The partisan roll was a 7, which indicated a potential partisan in South Africa, of all places. And the Commonwealth was not really happy with that, but fortunately for them, they rolled a high number. They rolled a 7. And that means no partisan appeared in South Africa. The U.S. entry for Japan, the roll was a nat 5, which is a 0. That was about it, I think. The weather for the impulse ended. The turn ended on the ended on the Democrats' impulse, and so that resulted in the communist marker moving up 1 on the ideological initiative track. So they will have a +1 on their initiative for next turn. Production. I did production. The major powers definitely curbed their spending. We have Germany producing 14, starting with 4, and they spent 2. They're going to put the sedlets out for its final cycle. Japan produced 11, started with 10, they spent 9. All these units came out of the construction pool for their final cycle. A transport, an amphibious unit, and a carrier, the Shokaku. The Italians produced 6, started with 4, spent 3 on an amphibious unit. First cycle for that. The Soviets produced 7, started with -2, and they built nothing. The Commonwealth produced 11. By the way, the Commonwealth is getting resources to every single one of its factories right now. All 22 factories are being provided with resources, for now anyways. So anyways, they produced 11. They saved in oil, that's why. And they started with 7, and they spent 10. Pulled the illustrious out of the construction pool, built 2 pilots and 2 fighters to go with the 2 pilots. France produced 6, started with 3 and spent 5. A fighter and a twin-engine bomber. The USA produced 9. Big jump for, actually that should be 10. 10, started with -3, spent 0. The Chinese produced 5. Again, that's over a doubling of their production. Started with -4 and spent nothing. So I will get these on the circle. I think I will close out this session and upload this turn, because the next couple of turns are liable to be interesting, to say the least. So thanks for watching. I appreciate the likes, the comments. Yeah, like, subscribe. And I will see you next time.